Hi everyone, this is Frank DeMore with the Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. And just briefly, if you're at my YouTube channel and you just discovered me by accident, I'd like to invite you to go over to my prophecy site, BibleProphecyMan.com. You can download my book, the documentary on Bible prophecy and current events today for free. Now, one of the prophecies that is a major prophecies about the last days is found in Zechariah 12:3. This is a warning that God tells us about Jerusalem. Listen to what he says. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. Now notice, he says all there, not just some, not just the Middle East, not North Africa or the European Union or America. It's all people, everywhere. Goes on to say, all that burden themselves with it shall be cut into pieces. So we have a warning there that anybody that messes around with God's holy city, they will be in turn cut to pieces. This should not be taken lightly. Though all the people of the earth be gathered against it. So what we do know is at the end of time, which we're moving very quickly upon, that everyone is going to turn against the nation Israel and Jerusalem, and we are seeing the evidence of that right now. We're seeing major allies of Israel falling away. We already saw Egypt, we already saw seeing Jordan, and of course the peace agreement between Egypt and Israel is now starting to fly away as well. So let's take a look at what Salim Fayyad is doing now in the territory in Israel, and I'll connect the dots for you. You see here in the article, it says the PA actively defying Israel and Jerusalem. The PA Prime Minister Salim Fayyad says the PA is continuously trying to allocate resources inside Jerusalem to challenge Israel's sovereignty. Now, the article goes on to say, Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Salim Fayyad said Wednesday his administration is actively defying Israel and operating in East Jerusalem. Now keep in mind, East Jerusalem, as you'll see later in this article, was won over by Israel in the 1967 war. And there's a lot of animosity between the Palestinians and Israel, because Israel now owns East Jerusalem, of which is the third most holiest site for the Muslim people. And obviously it's the first holiest site for Israel because it's the place where the first and the second Jewish temples stood. And it will be the same place where the third temple will be rebuilt, and I believe that will be built fairly soon. The PA is continuously trying to allocate resources inside the city which Israel occupied in 1967, Fayyad said in his weekly radio address from Ramallah. The Israeli government is trying to impose its policies to control Jerusalem and its institutions, which is contrary to international law and signed agreements, Fayyad said. This all won't change the truth that East Jerusalem is the main part of the occupied Palestinian territory. So remember what the Lord said, Jerusalem will become a burdensome stone. No doubt that has come to pass. Fayyad said in his weekly radio address, which focused on Israeli policy in the city. Israel must realize that there won't be any chance for a long-lasting peace without East Jerusalem as the capital of an independent Palestinian state, Fayyad said. Now, if you have your Bibles, go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3, because Paul warned that when they're calling for peace and safety, sudden destruction is going to come. And listen, just look what Fayyad is saying. There's not going to be any peace unless they get Jerusalem back. This, I believe, is the precursor to the Psalm 83 war, of which the Palestinians will be involved in when they try to recapture East Jerusalem. It goes on to say the observers note that under the 1993 Oslo Accords, to which Fayyad's government is beholden, Israel retains both full administrative and security control in Jerusalem. And without a final status agreement to the contrary, any attempt to exercise sovereignty in Jerusalem by the PA is a violation of every agreement that allows the government in Ramallah to exist. In other words, get ready for some more problems if Fayyad presses his stance in East Jerusalem, because it will cause more tensions and more conflicts, and I believe ignite another match for the beginning of the Psalm 83 war. Now, under the British mandate, Eastern Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria intended to become part of the Jewish state, which legally inherited them upon British's departure. However, during the early 1948 War of Independence, Jordan illegally occupied these areas. And upon liberating the occupied territories from Jordan in 1967, Israel extended sovereignty over East Jerusalem, again where the first and the second temple, Jewish temples are, or were. It says in 1980, the Knesset passed the Jerusalem law, formally declaring the city of Israel's undivided capital. And recently, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, issued a statement at the UN saying that Jerusalem will never be divided. So we see that the long story about East Jerusalem and its being a burdensome stone is definitely in the news, and it is getting very tense in that city, and you can expect war to take place. And if you want to know anything about the war, read Psalm 83, because these are the people who are going to be involved in that war along with the rest of the Arab nations that border Israel. Keep your eyes on the news, because it is coming, and it is a major sign we have entered into the last days.